3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Y'all excuse me. You can't really see this unless you're watching on the YouTube channel, but I am adjusting the volume here. Someone's been messing with this. Who's been messing with this? Who was here last?
I wonder who had that spot last. Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't think Ford cares as much. I think as long as Ford knows the mic is on, I don't know if he cares if he hears anything, which is fine. I don't disagree with that in theory. But in practice, we have a weird, like, double volume setup. I say weird. That's probably the wrong adjective. But, like, there are ways to adjust what I hear, like how I hear Elijah or what I hear when Elijah plays a soundbite or some such, or the commercials, relative to how I hear myself. And if I adjust one too much, the other, unless I want to just blow my ears out.
I think I've already done that, unfortunately.
I worked with a guy who was one of the best people in the entire world, but I don't know how he was a veteran of the business, and dude, when he took his headphones off, it was loud. Like, his headphones were loud. Like, if he took them off, like in this whatever was playing, I mean, I was like, dude, how do you even hear anything at your house or in life? I'm not sure that he did.
I said the answer is you don't.
You don't. Yeah. So, anyway, a lot to get to on today's program. Welcome aboard. Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur are going to join us coming up bottom of the hour. Hale covers the football team and some Cruton, so we'll get into a little bit of what's going on around Gamecock football as we're just about a week into August camp. Have some coach and player sound for you coming up throughout the afternoon, including from Lenore Sellers and Rocket Sanders, two guys who will be heavily counted upon to try to get this Gamecock offense going in a better direction in 2024. I joke and kid as I say this, and Elijah and I were talking earlier in our pre-show meeting. Rocket Sanders has been put on like a comeback player watch list, and I mean, that's cool and all. For him, I'm not here to. This isn't about Rocket. I didn't know there was a comeback player watch list. Like, do we need a watch list for that? Shouldn't you just be watching and then
imagine being a healthy player on that watch list and being like, oh, what am I coming back from?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of how I felt. And I tweeted this about Simone Biles. Well, it's not about, I didn't tweet about Simone Biles. I had a problem with NBC, who's done a fine job with the Olympics. But before the Olympics, they had one of these promos running. Again, the games had not even started yet. And they're talking about Simone Biles' epic comeback. And I'm like, why are y'all putting that on her?
It's rigged.
You know? Well, I mean, so again, it's not about her. And I understand the struggles that she had in the last Olympics or whatever. And we all know what she's about in terms of her sport. But I was like, don't be putting that epic comeback label on her. How do you know? What if it's not an epic comeback, man? I mean, sometimes in sports,
you lose.
You lose. Yeah. I mean, I don't want her to lose. I'm glad she won a bunch of stuff.
That's calling quite the shot.
Yeah, and she didn't do it. It's one thing when, like, Noah Lyles is going, yeah, I told y'all I got this, and then he goes and wins. Like, that's cool. But if he hadn't, people have been like, yeah, what's up, bro? But Simone wasn't out there going, oh, I'm going to win a whole mess of gold medals, and it's going to be an epic comeback. She didn't do that.
That was just NBC and me. I didn't have a doubt in my mind.
That was fun to watch.
That girl can fly.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. And the Olympics are still going on. Speaking of Noah Lyles, I think the semifinals of the 200 are today, and then the final, I guess, tomorrow maybe, or Friday. I don't know. I should probably look that up.
Yeah, I get them all mixed up.
There's a lot of events.
I've gotten to the point now where I just like to open the Peacock app on my TV and sit back and enjoy just whatever is on. Like, at this point, I will not be picky. Because the Olympics are one of those things, obviously, because it's every 4 years. But I will just go ahead, turn the TV on, open the Peacock app, and recline and watch whatever is put in front of my sweet little face, and I will enjoy it.
It's unfortunate because I don't think it's going to happen for me. But I've just not been able to latch on to Gold Zone the way I really wanted to relative to Red Zone. And I know you've been a fan. I had Gold Zone on this morning for about 45 minutes, and I just, again, it's almost too quick. At some point, I need to kind of just sit and watch a little bit of it. Again, with Red Zone NFL, let's face it, the most games that they're flipping to around on at any one time is probably only like, what, 6? You know, right?
Yeah, like the maximum NFL window, it's less than 8 events, right, at one time. And there's so many type of events that, and I get it. I get one of your gripes too about you're not getting probably an adequate amount of context. But for me, it's one of those things like when it goes to fencing, just tell me the rules. Is this good? Is this bad? What's the scoring like? And I will enjoy the rest.
Yeah, like
I will figure out the rest.
Yeah, some of the fencing, like, and again, I saw fencing. I don't remember which one we saw live when we went 28 years ago.
I love fencing.
But like one of them, they're like up there roughing each other up, and then the other one, like you can barely touch them with your sword, right? Like, I don't know about the roughing up one. Like, they can bump into each other, and they're kind of.
I want to watch that one. No, I watched the latter.
I'm waiting for one of those dudes to, like.
And that's a point.
Well, I'm waiting for one of them to, like, reach around the back and pull out a little dagger and just, like, yeah.
Oh, the one where you get a point for drawing blood?
Yeah, something like that. Like, look what I got. Extra.
This is medieval.
Like pro wrestling, you get distract the ref, and then you pull the foreign object out of the tights, and you give him a little something. Like, I don't know what happened. Or like that scene.
I don't know what happened, but that's 3 points right there, buddy.
Since the movie is old, like that, in Gladiator, when that, jerky emperor decides he's going to stab him there before the big thing. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but.
Joaquin Phoenix as
Joaquin Phoenix.
Emperor? Yeah.
Correct, yes.
You said old, and I automatically thought something that might have been made before the year 2000.
Well, when did Gladiator come out?
That's early 2000s, right?
Yeah, that's a good 20 plus years old now. That's a good movie, dude. I like that movie.
Saw that probably at a way too young of an age.
Yeah, I liked it.
Movie with that much blood. Probably way too young of an age.
There's a good topic. What's the movie you shouldn't have seen at an early age? For my generation, for most of us, that's probably going to be really easy. It's either like Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws is a good one.
Or The Exorcist.
It's a really funny one for me.
Or Cujo. I saw a babysitter. I remember this. A really nice girl. I forget her name now. She worked for my mom. But a babysitter took me and a friend to see Cujo in the theater. And I think it came out when I was like 10 or 11.
You're kidding. What a terrible, terrible idea.
It ain't like this was like, I don't know, some like Babe, not the girl, but the movie, like the pig movie.
The pig movie,
Babe, yeah. Or something like that. Like Cujo was not.
She's probably read in the local paper, a movie about a dog.
Yeah,
okay.
Cujo was not lovable. Cujo was lovable and friendly for 5 minutes.
Until he was.
And then he was bitten by a rabid bat, and, the rest is history.
Yeah. That is scarring.
Yeah, well, I'm okay. And I still love dogs.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
We can get into that.
I'm all right.
Okay.
I mean, it took me 30 years to own a dog. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
See, yours was a babysitter. Mine was my elementary school because they showed Poltergeist at the end, but it was like an edited version. So like no curse words or whatever. They were able to like edit, cursing out of it. But I was in the 5th grade. And at the end of each 9 weeks, if you had like at least a B average and you had only missed less than 3 days of school, right? You were able to go to this like event where you got the entire half the day off before fall break, and you either got to go to the gym and basically have like unlimited, like PE, like play dodgeball and stuff like that, or you could watch a movie. Well,
I do like dodgeball.
I have always liked watching movies, and I play dodgeball all the time anyway. Yeah. So like 10-year-old me is like, you know what? I want to watch this scary movie they're going to play. And it's like me and 4 other kids. This is not a very large school. It's me and 4 other kids in the cafeteria on a projection screen, and they are playing Poltergeist. And it was terrifying.
That is a pretty scary movie, dude.
At age 10, and I'm watching like a bunch of 8th graders or whatever, but like.
Hard to believe Craig T. Nelson could beat anything scary, but.
Yeah, really. But he did.
He was.
Old 10-year-old brain couldn't
Yeah. Well, you made it too, so that's good. All right, I want y'all to hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line. The movie
you should not have seen
before, let's say before 12. Is that a good cutoff?
That's fair.
Before middle school starts, right? 12 is about where middle school starts?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was 10.
Okay. Sure. So let's do that. Hit us up. That'll be a little flow throughout the course of the afternoon. 803-404-6100 on the Firehouse Subs text line. I'm sure Larry and Jamie are very happy that we're going to use the Firehouse Subs text line for this
Oh, absolutely.
scarring movie discussion. Yeah,
Oh,
Jaws.
we already have some good ones.
Jaws, I would say, but I still went in the ocean. But I like why I was allowed to see Jaws in a theater, I still don't know. And even Jaws 2.
You went back for more. It didn't really damage you that bad if
No,
you
I
went back
guess
for
not.
seconds.
But I mean,
If you're going back for seconds, it wasn't that bad.
no. And again, the Exorcist, that was kind of messed up for a young kid. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Where were we? Sports. Jim Harbaugh got popped. We'll talk about that for you.
That's a scary movie for him.
Yeah, well.
Not really.
No, it's not. And
It's kind of like the Blair Witch Project.
NCAA making a couple of news notes today. We'll touch on that for you. And again, Hale McGranahan coming up in just a bit. My Atlanta Braves have now been held scoreless by one really bad team, the Marlins. And then last night, the Milwaukee Brewers beat them 10-0. The Braves have not scored a run in 24 straight games. Chris Sale has been pushed back twice in recent weeks for, rest, whatever that means. I mean, look, he makes a lot of money, and he's been really good this year. I'm going to be kind of a jerk about this when I say it, but he's also kind of a diva. And just sometimes I think he goes to his manager, in this case, Brian Snitker now, hey, I can't pitch. And, okay. Braves just can't score. Bryce Elder, in like his last whatever starts has like an ERA of 8.5. I've just come to the conclusion. Again, it's sports. Sometimes you lose. That it just ain't happening.
Yeah, that's a scary movie for you. One that you're and you would probably say you're too young to.
It's no longer a first world problem. I know you've been saying to me, you and like Derek Scott as Reds fans got on me the other day, like, hey, you're still in first place in that wild card thing. And I'm like, yeah, but it used to be like 8 games and now it's like 1.5. And I didn't even look at the standings today. And again, this is all happening as the Phillies are also in a free fall. And it's like, dadgummit.
Can't take advantage of it, but it's not killing you too bad in that race.
No. Well, I don't know. If they make the playoffs, I'll be fine. And there's still a chance.
They're going to make the playoffs.
I don't know, dude.
I'd be surprised if they don't make the playoffs.
We'll see. All right. Again, we'll have some football. We have some baseball. We have some Olympics. Women's basketball team, Asia Wilson, they're playing in just a little bit to get to the semifinals. We'll have that update for you throughout the course of the afternoon. And again, Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur coming up in about 15, 20 minutes to talk about what's going on in Cruton and the first full week of Gamecock football camp ahead of the 24 season. This is the Postgame Show. Kids are going back to school. Maybe your older ones need some wheels to take the younger ones to school. Maybe they're heading off to college out of town. Maybe you're ready for something new. There is no better place to make those car payments more affordable than ever than by using Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. Right now, they are offering some great low rates on all new to 2021 models. They've got options for older cars as well, and many plans come with no payments for up to 90 days. Plus, Palmetto Citizens can finance over 100% of the retail or purchase price on new to 21 models, and they offer additional coverage and insurance options dealerships simply cannot beat. So, before you make that new car purchase or that used car purchase, check with Palmetto Citizens before you finance anywhere else and see how much you can save. My wife and I are members. We love what they do for us and our family. 14 locations all around town, and learn more right now at palmettocitizens.org. 18 minutes after 3 o'clock, Wednesday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Elijah says we got lots of hits on the Firehouse Subs text line about our topic, which, again, came up somewhat organically. I just mentioned we were talking about Olympics, and I mentioned fencing, and then I said I was waiting for, like, one of these fencers, to be like pro wrestling, distract the officials, pull out a little dagger, just give a guy a little something.
A little extra.
And they'd be like, I don't know what happened. And then, yeah, he wins. Because otherwise those swords they fight with, there's not a lot of danger in them. They're very bendy, and they have a big point on them. They don't want you to get, skewered.
Yeah, those weren't being used in medieval warfare.
No. But then
wouldn't be effective.
Then I mentioned the scene late in Gladiator where the Emperor decides he's going to hit Maximus there and give him a little. He does give him a little something before.
He gives him a lot of something.
Because he didn't want to lose.
Yes.
How'd that work out? Never mind. Don't answer that question. Yeah. Don't we know? I don't want to spoil too much. And then Elijah said, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have seen that with that much blood at such a young age." And then I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I probably shouldn't have seen Jaws at age like 6 or whatever it was."
Yeah, definitely not.
But I did. And then Jaws was so popular, they made Jaws 2. And I do remember going to that one as well.
You went back for more.
I remember going, man.
He said, I love this trauma. Give me some mo. I want it.
And then we asked you to come up with some. So give me a few. We'll run these throughout the course of the afternoon.
So we had 2 phone calls.
Okay.
One from our friend Kent, who said he was way too young to be watching the movie The Graduate.
Okay.
For different reasons, right?
I can appreciate that. That's grown up. That's a grown up movie.
Yes, certainly.
I don't like that. I'll say grown up movie, not when you say an adult movie.
They're
that's a total different
things.
Yeah,
Yes.
So it's a
R-rated.
So it's a grown-up movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like an R-rated film with
I hear you, Kent.
some R-rated content.
I hear you.
Barry calls in and says The Birds, especially considering when he moved down south, he would do some work as a kid in a hen house and watch the birds, and then you know how those birds can be.
Yeah, Mrs. Phillips is not a fan of the birds. I don't know when she first saw the birds, but she is not a fan of the film, and she doesn't really like. We have a bird feeder. It's a pretty big one. It's like right near our outdoor couch on our patio. And if more than like 2 of them are kind of waiting in line to get on the bird feeder, she'll be like, "All right, y'all just hurry up." She doesn't
mess with birds too much.
Not too much, man. So I can appreciate that.
That movie, yeah, definitely could.
I'm trying to think of the first. I think Psycho was the first Hitchcock movie I saw.
That's really the only Hitchcock movie I've seen.
Oh, you should.
I've
see
never
him,
seen The Birds, but I have seen Psycho.
Like Rear Window, and there's some Vertigo. Those are good movies, dude.
Vertigo is really good.
They're good movies. They really are. The Birds is a good. I mean, Birds is a good movie.
Good band too.
Yeah,
spelt a little differently.
Yeah, with a Y. Yeah, Birds with a Y. All right, hit me with some more.
Craig says Pet Sematary or Porky's. 2 different movies for 2 completely different reasons, being way too young to watch.
I got to tell you, I was not expecting a combo like that.
No, absolutely not. 2 totally different ends of the spectrum.
Oh, man. Porky's. Wow.
I can't say Porky's yet.
I have not seen Porky's probably since I was in high school. And that came out early 80s.
I saw it in middle school at a sleepover.
Yeah, I have probably not seen Porky's in a long time. That's a classic coming of age teen angst comedy. Well, never mind. Yeah, Porky's. And what was the other one? Oh, Pet Sematary. Yeah,
Pet Sematary messed me up as a teenager, man.
Yeah.
That was. There'll be no rewatches for me.
And I've read that. Of course, I've read like, I don't know, 2/3 of Stephen King's books probably over the course of my life. But I've read that one and seen that. Yeah, that'll get you.
Yeah, I love my pets too much to do any type of
that'll get you
rewatch of that.
Yeah. Well, what a combo. Who was that from?
That was from Craig.
All right, Craig.
Yeah. We have so many here.
Well, Craig, I would like to think, buddy, that over time, I don't know how old you were when you saw them, and they probably came out roughly around the same. I don't know. Pet Sematary, that was mid '80s when that came out.
I think so.
And again, Porky's probably a couple years before. I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to think, Craig, that Porky's didn't scar you the way Pet Sematary might if you were a Ute back in the day. But I don't know. John hits us real quick and says, I saw Animal House when I was in 3rd grade. I think I turned out okay. Yeah, but there's no blood in Animal House, John.
Just binge drinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Some historical misinformation. I love Animal House.
I was going to say, if John grew up to believe that the Germans were the ones who bombed Pearl Harbor, then I think we would have a little bit more issue of watching that.
I don't know if they could make Animal House today.
No.
I really don't think they could, man. Which is kind of not unfortunate per se, but just I don't think you could make Animal House.
Different time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different time.
It's a great film, though.
Man, like there are a couple of these.
I mean, I still say Double Secret Probation. I mean, how many times even you and I have been working together for what? Not even a year.
Double Secret Probation.
And I've probably said to you about the NCAA type stuff, Double Secret Probation, I don't know, a couple dozen times. I use that.
An unofficial weapon yielded by the NCAA.
Yeah, I use Double Secret Probation all the time. All the time. And he's on a roll. I all the time. It's just,
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot from it.
Animal House is, again, a fine film.
So the ones with the stories are really, really good. One person was gifted the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on DVD for like my 12th or 13th birthday. That did not faze me. However, before I was that age, I watched The Ring, although looking back, it was not as scary as it terrified.
I've never seen The Ring.
Dude. Yeah.
I know people have said it'll get you.
As a kid.
I've never.
Yeah. I watched it at age 11.
When did that come out? That was
like 2005 or 6.
I'd say, and I've never seen The Ring.
So I was a middle schooler when that came out and watched it, and it terrified me.
Yeah.
Rewatched it again about 2 years ago. Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing to me.
That's good. Man, who gifts a 12-year-old the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? You know the character. I mean, forget about Leatherface. Who I really just want to punch in the throat. And this sounds mean, and I am not somebody. But those
I would like to see this list.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say it that way because it's those old ladies in the kitchen, man. Like what? Come on, man.
Oh, the enablers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are y'all doing? I shouldn't say that I want to punch old ladies in the throat because I don't.
Going to write that down. We're going to clip this here.
No. But those old ladies, man. Like, come on, old ladies. Y'all are they're the ones.
Hey, enablers can be evil too.
That's the problem in that movie. Yeah, Leatherface is he's just got issues. They got bigger.
I do like the phrasing of Leatherface. He's just got issues. Yeah. That's it. That's all. That was all.
Those old ladies, man, they make me mad. Like they genuinely make me angry. Like I don't like them.
Like you could do something about this.
Yes.
You had all the power in the world.
I guess that's why that's part of the story.
It is.
Well, who's that from? Do we have a name?
That was no name on this one.
Okay. Well, I want to go like I'm sorry that somebody decided that giving you that movie at such a young age was the right thing to do, but and there's one they remade, right? Didn't they remake that a few years back?
Yeah.
What's the point of remaking that movie?
That's a really good question.
And I don't mean that because look, if you like horror movies, I know that's one of those classics. So there you go. All right.
And a lot of these, are horror movies, which of course, the older I got.
That's kind of what we were going for here, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
Or either because Gladiator's certainly not a horror movie, but
there's some gore in there that probably under the age of.
And do I classify Jaws as a horror movie? I wouldn't.
I mean, in a way, it's more real life.
I've never thought about it.
Like a shark attack is pretty scary. I would follow that.
It is horrific.
Real life horrific events.
Yeah, but I've never looked at Jaws as a horror movie, like I would say Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
If Jaws jumped out of the water and goes boo, would you consider it a horror movie then?
Yeah.
Would that be it? Is that your criteria?
Jaws was wearing a mask. That's what it is. Jaws just had like a
or even freakier music than it already did, because the score of Jaws, it does have it's not just iconic but iconically eerie,
like a Scooby Doo, like the eerie guy that had the glowy stuff coming out of the water. Like if that guy was riding Jaws, then we have some horror. All right, let's hit a break. Hit us
Real
up.
life is actually
again
more
the movie that this came up organically today, but the movie that you saw and you were too young. You were too young.
Way too young.
Yeah. So hit us up with that. I suppose all genres are fine.
And then tell us if you're okay.
Yeah, and let us know. Let us know how.
I came out fine, or I still have issues. And it's like, okay,
that's fair.
Then this movie did more psychological damage to America's youth than we might have foreseen.
Randy hit me. No. I can't take it back, Randy. I didn't really mean it. I would never, ever, ever want to hit old ladies. Just those old ladies in that movie make me really mad.
We're totally not clipping that at all.
Those old ladies in that movie make me really mad, man. That's all. They make me really. That's just a scene that I just don't like. All right, Hale McGranahan on the other side. We'll talk some Gamecock football as the postgame show rolls on. Oh, let me tell you about the men's clinic. Dr. Dan Balknight and his team ready to help you when you're just feeling off. You just don't know why. As you get a little bit older, that things don't click the way they used to, whether it's mentally, physically, a little bit of both. Stop in and see Dr. Dan and get a free one-on-one consultation that gets to the root of the issue. And ultimately, they want to get you back to feeling like you used to. No such thing as a one-size-fits-all treatment at the men's clinic. Again, guys just sometimes won't go to the doctor. I'll tough it out. My dad and granddad never went to the doctor. Why should I go? Don't be that guy, all right? Get to feeling better after you see Dan Balknight and his team. They are experts in healthcare for men, dedicated to making you feel like yourself again. You can learn a lot more about what they do for folks when you log on to themensclinicsc.com. And more importantly, you can set up a free consultation right now by calling 803-875-MENS. Get to feeling better with the Men's Clinic. Well, we will get to talking some Gamecock football with our buddy Hale McGranahan here in just a second, although he did tell me that he wants to talk about Billy Strings showing up in Grand Rapids last night playing with fish, which I'm here for, but we probably need to get into some football, and we're having some fun. What movie did you see at too early an age? Whatever genre. I guess we're going primarily for something that might scare you or have a lot of blood. That's how this thing came about. But we got a lot of hits here on the Twitters and on the text line. So
multiple text lines.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, we got some good stuff here.
Hale, would you like to answer that question before? I'm springing it on you here, but maybe a movie that you, very young, like say pre-age 12, Hale saw that when you think back probably shouldn't have seen at that young an age?
Yeah, for sure. As Elijah was bringing me on, he was telling me that I might have to answer this question, and I knew exactly what I was going to say before he finished. I don't remember how old I was, but the answer is Poltergeist. My dad was able to convince my mom to let my sister and I stay home from church one morning so we could watch Poltergeist instead of going to church when we were in elementary school, I guess. So, yeah, that's my answer.
How long did it take you to look under your bed with confidence?
It's a good substitute for church. We'll watch Poltergeist.
But how long did it take you after watching that to be able to look under your bed with confidence that nothing would be there?
A while, and you know what? I'm almost 40 years old, and I don't like scary movies, so that probably has something to do with it.
No, I hear you. That could.
Yeah, to answer your question, I don't think I've looked under my bed yet.
There you go.
It still freaks me out, man, because of that movie.
Yeah.
It still freaks me out.
Yeah, there's a few things like that. Hale, let's jump into some football here. We're nearly a week into camp right now. Look, no news is good news, I think, is the biggest thing, right? I mean, we just saw some news about Texas losing C.J. Baxter for the season with a knee injury in camp. You know, you never want to hear those kind of things. But how are things going from what you're able to hear in terms of especially those areas up front and at wide receiver where we know that development and depth have to really show out here pretty soon?
Yeah, I think Florida's already lost Montreal Johnson. They're running back as well. So, but yeah, with South Carolina, I think they're 5 days in after this morning's practice, and haven't heard anything as far as concerning that way. But we'll certainly keep our ears to the ground. But through the first few practices, some things I picked up were pretty encouraging about the offensive line and how much better they've gotten from last season, and maybe looking back at last season, it's probably not really anywhere to go but up based on some of those games they had. But a couple of the transfers who have come in, Torricelli Simpkins and Kamar Bell, I heard some good things about after the first few days. And I think that's what you kind of hope for when you bring in veteran players, whether they're offensive linemen, wide receivers, or whoever. If they're older, more advanced guys, you would think that they'd come in and be able to make a difference sooner than later, and it sounds like those guys are doing that. Over on the defensive side of the ball, they've certainly got a couple as well, and DeAndre Jules, the defensive tackle from Pittsburgh, and Kyle Kennard. Heard some good reviews of Jules and how things look for him the first few days, and I'm sure Kennard has been pretty steady as well. I mean, it's not just the guys who have transferred in, but really across the board. It's a really veteran group along the defensive line for Carolina, and that's a good thing. You can never be too old on the line of scrimmage.
Certainly, and one thing on this offense, too, outside of the offensive line, I think my biggest question mark, and it's not even Lenoris at quarterback or whoever ends up being the quarterback, even though I think we all know it's probably going to be Lenoris Sellers, but who emerges as a number one receiver? Losing Xavier Legette, that's a lot of production that walked out that door. And you have a lot of experience, kind of the same way you do at other positions, but who do you kind of have a feel just by being at practice these last few days and talking to people that really could emerge as a number one receiver or maybe a top target for this passing game?
Yeah, I do need to clarify when we get to go out and watch practice, it's not for very long. We went the first 2 days, members of the media got to go the first 2 days, and didn't really get to see a whole lot, so I can't really speak to what I've seen because, quite frankly, I haven't seen 11 guys on one side of the ball and 11 guys on the other side of the ball in actual football being played. But from based on what I've heard, what I've been told, sounds like Vandrevius Jacobs, Dre Jacobs is what they call him. Dre he's off to a really nice start this first few days. So he transferred in from Florida State, the redshirt freshman. Sounds like he's doing some really nice things as well. Tyshawn Russell was someone who had a great spring, and we saw him in the spring game make some plays. And I think he just looks like a completely different guy. Last year when he was a freshman, he was a little thin and still growing, and this year he just looks the part, more like an SEC wide receiver, and apparently he's doing some good things as well. Whether it's one of those two guys or someone else who is the number one target at receiver, anybody who's listening, your guess is as good as mine, because it could be a number of different guys. I don't think you. I mean, if you ask folks within the program at South Carolina who they thought it would be, you probably get a lot of different answers just based on the number of people you ask, because it's pretty wide open. But it's a talented group, I think. It's unproven, especially at South Carolina. But they got guys like Gage Larvadain, who's made a lot of plays at Miami of Ohio and Southeast Louisiana. So it's an intriguing bunch, and certainly one that will probably have a bunch of different guys step forward throughout the season. I would guess it could be one of those things where one game it's maybe Gage Larvadain who leads the team in catches and yards, and the following week it could be somebody else. So I think it's truly a wide open type of deal.
Talking to Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur. Gamecock camp underway. ODU, the first opponent on August the 31st. Let me take you back to the defense. You were talking about a lot of the guys that had come in and the amount of bodies they have, especially up front. Relative to the offensive line, we've talked about this. You want a lot of guys that you can rotate in and out. Does it matter, in your opinion, or maybe even what you're gauging from the ball club, about who maybe the first line guys are relative to the guys behind them, relative to, say, Hale, wanting a top five on the offensive line? How much does being a starter right now, you think, matter up front on defense?
Well, it matters. I mean, guys do care about that. They want to be on the field for those first plays of the game. But there's something to that. But to me, it's really all about down the stretch in the most important times, whether it's like a third down in the middle of the third quarter when you're trying to get off the field and get your team the ball back to maybe go score a touchdown and take the lead. That to me is what means a little bit more. So I would think it's probably going to be a collection of guys at defensive end and defensive tackle. And, we've seen a few of the tackles over the years, and a lot, and Tonka Hemingway, Boogie Huntley, and TJ Sanders. Jules will be in the mix, Monkel Goodwine. They seem to be pleased with as a veteran who can join the rotation. Then at end, like we said earlier, with Kyle Kennard and obviously Gilbert Edmond coming back. I'm sure everyone's waiting for me to say the name Dylan Stewart, because he's the 5-star stud who everybody's super excited about, and for good reason. I mean, he's awesome. They could have used him last year, quite frankly. He would have probably made that defense a little bit better if he was playing on it a year ago. So they got a bunch of guys that they're going to be able to roll in and out, and that's only going to pay dividends not only over the course of a game, but over the course of a 12-game season too. That's one thing I talked to Clayton White about at the Birdies with Beamer outing a couple weeks ago. It's like, hey, it's all well and good to be able to say, hey, we can play all these different guys, but where it really means something is in November when guys are, a little bit beat up and been getting pushed around a little bit over the course of the season. Maybe they're not getting pushed around as much because they're not having to play, 45, 50 snaps as opposed to playing 30 to 35 or what have you. So I think that's kind of an underlooked thing, or overlooked thing, I should say, for this defense, just how deep they are up front.
All right, I know we were talking about movies and stuff, so I do want to get to a couple more things, but I got to hit a break. Can Elijah and I impose upon you to hang over for a few more minutes?
Sure, absolutely.
Right, good deal. All right, Hale McGranahan, Big Spur, going to continue on the other side. This is the Postgame Show. All right, welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Wednesday afternoon. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you, and our buddy Hale McGranahan kind enough to hang over through the break, talk a little more Gamecock football here. Quick update, nearing the end of the first quarterfinal women's basketball. United States leads Nigeria 21-12, just about a minute to play. Again, first quarter, so America comfortably out front for now, but a long way to go in this one. Hale, let's also, you follow a lot of recruiting as well. There's been some highs and some lows here in the last few weeks. I know Gamecock fans were upset about a receiver from Rock Hill. You got to keep the kids home. Sometimes kids want to leave home. There are a lot of reasons a long time ago and today as to why things happen the way they do in recruiting. But overall right now, at least from the high school standpoint, where is South Carolina relative to, to the recruiting expectation?
Relative to my expectations, I look at it like this, Jay, is South Carolina's signed top 25 classes in the recruiting rankings pretty much every year since they've become a thing online. There was the 2021 class when Beamer was coming in from Muschamp where they weren't. They're pretty far out. Small class, but beyond that, they've consistently been in the top 25, top 20. I think they got as high as 6 or 8 back in 2007 with one of those classes under Coach Spurrier. Right now, they're ranked number 30, so obviously just outside of that. So relative to just sort of my general expectations, they're not there. But I look at it kind of like this. To me, it's like you're playing a football game, you're watching your team, the defense is on the field, and the opponent's just got a first down at your 40-yard line, and that's the end of the third quarter, about to start the fourth quarter, and you're down a touchdown. Game's not over, still within reach. You can still, make some plays and get to where you need to be to win the game. But there's not a lot of time left, so we'll see what it means for this class. Winning cures all ills with anything. Coming off a 5-7 season, that's made things a little more challenging. It certainly gives some fodder for opposing coaching staffs to use against you when they're trying to recruit some of the same guys you're trying to recruit. So yeah, they're not where I kind of expect them to be. I'm sure the coaching staff expects better too, from that standpoint of rankings and stuff. But at the same time, I think it's a pretty solid class. I mean, there's certainly some needs that still have to be addressed, but they've got some good players, some guys who are, I think, 5 or 6 who are listed as 4 stars now on 24/7. I think there are a couple more who could be 4 stars by the time it's all said and done, and several who are knocking on the door of being a 4-star. So for folks who care about those things, star rankings and recruiting rankings and across the country, not where they need to be, but they're not far off.
Is there any way to measure, Hale, how Carolina – I mean, I know you don't follow Clemson or Coastal or anybody like that, on a regular basis anyway, but certainly you're on the Gamecock beat. But any way to measure how the school, the programs are taking advantage of the state NIL law at this point?
I honestly have no idea. I wish I could answer that for you, but I am no expert by any means when it comes to NIL. When you start saying the word law, that's when I get real unqualified to say much.
That's how we are. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday. There's a couple of things in the law that seem to run exactly counter to what the NCAA is looking for, and I'm just trying to figure out how some of those things go, or if this NIL law is making a difference. In recruiting or in retention or anything else at that point in time. All right, before I let you go, Billy Strings was indeed on stage last night with Fish. Now, did you webcast this, or are you going to watch the YouTube video? I didn't get to, I don't do many of the webcasts during the week, so I know he was there, and I'll probably go home and watch it on YouTube later. That's about the best I can do.
No, I wasn't watching live. I woke up this morning and was scrolling Twitter and saw that he stepped in, so I immediately went to YouTube and started playing some of the videos for my wife and our 2-month-old daughter, much to my wife's dismay this morning.
Oh, no, you
was able to listen to Was able to listen to some on Sirius XM as well.
All right, good.
Pretty awesome.
All right, no, Billy's amazing, and when he and Trey can start doing something together like that, it's pretty cool. Good stuff as always, sir. Best to Mr. Whittle, and we'll talk to you again here real soon. Appreciate you.
I always appreciate y'all. Thank you.
You bet. That is Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur. Billy Strings on stage. Fish had not been to Grand Rapids since the late 90s. I don't know much about Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm not going to lie to you, other than it's in Michigan, and it sounds nice.
Anything that goes by Grand Rapids. Yeah. The Rapids must be pretty good.
I don't know.
Pass the eye test.
But anyway, all right, good stuff from Hale. Appreciate his time. All right, we're having some fun. Movie that you saw a little too young. Maybe it was a comedy that had too many grown-up themes. We've had a couple of those. Something with a little too much gore or ghosts under the bed or in the television. Maybe a giant white shark in the ocean. Hit us up on the text line. Hour 2 coming up.
They're here.
All right, so a little mixed message here in a good way for our friends at Integrated Media. Michael Geddes reminding me that, hey, even though it's raining a lot, you can still get around to golf in. You say, no, I can't. I cannot play golf in the rain, especially if it's windy and it's like tropical stormy. You can at Pro Swing, right next to Integrated Media's world headquarters on Snapdragon Court in Chapin. Pro Swing has 2 amazing golf zone simulators, more than 200 courses that you can play, all kinds of difficulty from really easy to really hard. I found out when I was in there last that I probably shouldn't have chosen Arnold Palmer's Bay Hill down in the Orlando area to play because it didn't go real well for me. But whatever you want to do, you can play in about an hour, have a lot of fun with friends. They got memberships and clubs and leagues. It's a good time for you. And, of course, Integrated Media ready for your home theater systems, too. 803-948-8327. Have fun with Integrated Media and Pro Swing. 4 o'clock Wednesday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the Postgame Show coming at you from downtown Columbia's Herndon Chevy Studios. He is Elijah Campbell. I am Jay Phillips. You are you, and we thank you for choosing to be with us this afternoon. Thanks again to our buddy Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur, talking a little Gamecock football camp. No news is good news. There has been some bad news at Florida. And again, just getting word that star running back C.J. Baxter of Texas has torn 2 ligaments in his right knee. Whether that happened yesterday or today, I have not gotten the word yet, Elijah. But regardless, surgery is scheduled for later in the week, and he is done for the season.
That's brutal.
That sucks.
And so and Montreal Johnson also. That's 2 of the all SEC running backs I put on for my preseason battle. Those are two of the best 4 or 5 in the entire league.
And you never know the season starts. With these things, is something. Who knows, right? You do all you can to limit these guys in terms of contact. Sometimes it's just waiting to happen, and you don't know it. I've heard of that, especially with like an Achilles. That there's just that one little thing, and it's just waiting to pop. You see a guy go down, especially in a non-contact situation, and that's not good. And you feel for him. You genuinely do. I know sometimes people may say, "Oh, well, that makes that team." I always want a team that I'm playing against to be at full strength. I want to know who I beat. Everything I get can be an advantage, but you hate it for these guys. Just absolutely hate it because you don't know that you come back from it.
Yeah, or at least never the
and
same.
with two in the same injury, that sounds like a lot of work to come back from, But these kids are young, they're resilient, and they got great medical care. So here's hoping. We'll talk more about some of the fun things that we're doing here, and we got our poll question to get to as well. I don't want to. We're blending the fun and the serious. I told Elijah we'd probably talk about this at some point today, so I just want to kind of get it out of the way. I'm not here to be overly sanctimonious. I'm not a high school football coach. I know a lot of them. But Hoover High School in Birmingham, technically Hoover, I know, but South Birmingham, is in the news again for the wrong reasons. They have their head coach and an assistant coach on paid leave, I guess, by the school district pending review of some video that has surfaced. All the Birmingham stations have had it. Was it Football Scoop, I think, was one of them, Elijah?
One of them obtained the footage.
That got, it looked like drone footage for that one. Would you agree with me? Like the one that was the direct overhead shot?
Yeah, it looked like drone footage.
Which feels like that'd be something the school would have. So I don't know who has access to the video. I'm kind of glad it's out. But one of these assistant coaches forcibly removes the kid's helmet. Another guy, there was a lineman that, clearly didn't have a good drill. And an assistant coach comes charging off the sideline onto the practice field and totally, levels the kid. Just absolutely leveled him.
Rips his helmet off.
Yeah.
In the process.
And then another guy, and, if you've seen the videos, and if you haven't, you can just at this point today, you can just Google Hoover High football, and the videos will be there for you. One guy seems to, how do I describe it on radio?
Pelvic thrust himself into a kid's face while he's on the ground.
Yeah.
After a drill.
Thank you. I'm glad you said it the way you did, because I was trying to think of something like that. And
pretty alarming behavior for an adult who is supposed to be teaching children. Yeah.
I've seen a couple of tweets from some parents and players that echo sort of the same thing of this is what makes coach such a winner. Really? What I told Elijah, and
you can win without doing that stuff.
You can. I think a lot of coaches do.
I know many that do.
Dare I say most of them do. That assistant coach is probably fortunate that he did that to a high school kid who's probably scared of him relative to being a college assistant, and certainly no NFL assistant would do that anyway. I can't possibly imagine that an NFL assistant would ever charge in off the sideline and level an NFL player. unless they basically had a death wish.
Yeah, if they didn't like their teeth and wanted them removed. Yeah.
And again, I'm not literally saying this here, but at some point, if I'm that kid, I might have gotten up off the ground and been like, yeah, Chief. Well, how about some of this? But a kid's not going to do that because a kid's going to think, oh, I did it wrong.
A little bit of a power dynamic that exists at that level that does not exist
at the next levels. Yeah, absolutely. And okay, he had a bad drill. How old is he? It's high school football, man. I don't care how good Hoover High is supposed to be. And what kind of also irked me a little bit was that a couple of the headlines, especially the local headlines, like National High School Powerhouse. I'm like, okay.
Whatever.
Are they? Great. Is there a national tournament? I don't think there is.
How many college football playoff appearances you got?
But, they're on paid leave. But hey, look, I get it. Some parents and kids are going to be supportive. You can't do that. And like you and I said, if I got mad at a coworker in my job and I decided to run at them from, say, 20 yards away, full speed, and knock them smack onto the floor, if you will, or ground or wherever, before that person is up off the ground, I've basically lost my job.
Yep. The millisecond it happens.
Yeah. Right? I mean, my job is done. And I got a lot of explaining to do to my next employer when they call my previous employer looking for references. Why'd you get fired? Well, here's the thing.
My coworker did a drill wrong. You should have seen the technique on this guy.
Yeah, this guy kept running copies backwards at the copy machine. And I'd simply had enough.
He printed off an entire sheet of Zombievers, a film that you should not watch at a young age.
And I'd had enough.
The poster.
Yeah, he forgot to turn the coffee pot on. No, right? I'm fired.
Yep,
I'm fired. Well, football's different. No, that's assault. That's assault.
Especially when
end of story.
Kid. Yeah,
it's assault.
It's even worse.
You can't do that. Now, in the game, you can. Here's the catch, kids. They ain't playing a game, and that coach ain't supposed to do that. So, I've seen the video multiple times, a couple of different angles. It's a really bad look. There will be immense pressure on administrators at a school like this and in a district like this to only suspend. And I hope that they don't bow to that particular pressure because you can't do that. I don't want this dude to be out of it forever, but that's not how you teach young kids to do anything. I don't care what sport it is. So don't come at me with it's football.
Don't matter.
I know a lot of football coaches. You can walk right up to all kinds of lines in coaching. Can't cross them without some form of real punishment.
It's not just one incident. There were two.
Yeah, two
incidents.
Right.
And the other one, especially when you're coaching kids, the whole pelvic thrusting into the face type thing. Yeah, that borders disturbing.
Yeah.
It's disturbing.
That's also a form of assault, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and again, what point are you trying to make? Who do you think you are? Again, hey, I don't mean this when I say, but what would be best for a coach like that is for one of these kids to haul off and say, hey, I'm a really large human being too. Have some of this. Chief. Sport.
If you wouldn't do it to John Henderson, don't do it to these kids.
Yeah. But so again, I'm not actually condoning that or suggesting that as a form of retribution. But I wonder what would happen if that kid gets up off the ground and decides to run 20 or 30 yards at full speed into that dude. They'd kick that kid off the team, right?
Immediately.
Yeah. So there's that. Hoover High, man.
They think you give
it's not that Rush dude anymore, is it?
No, he's got his own legal trouble.
Oh, good. Well, I say, oh, good, but more like, oh.
Or his own, maybe not legal trouble, his own trouble elsewhere.
Is he the one that had like the secret family or something?
Oh, yeah. High school football's Bartolo Colon.
That's messed up, man. How you pull that off?
That's a really good question.
You know what?
How do you have the attention span to pull that off? Yeah. See, that's what I wonder sometimes is like with instances like that, how do you have the attention span? Buddy, I can barely focus on doing one thing at a time. 2 families? I would have a hard time focusing on one family at a time, buddy. 2?
Yeah. Well, most importantly, good luck to these kids. They deserve better. The ones that are in the direct line of this. And if they do push back, you know, I again, now that I've seen some kids and parents, you know, supporting this head coach, you know, oh, I can't believe, you know, Johnny like really pushed hard to get coach fired. Why? I can.
I say believe it.
Yeah.
I'd say that's very believable.
Seen the video?
That is the most believable.
But when I saw one of them that said, you know, this is why he wins. No, man. No.
Wins at what? Like that's not what makes a good football coach.
No, you can win without that. Guaranteed.
Honestly, if we make a lot of lists in this industry, right? Like we make a lot of lists, we rank a lot of things. I can rank a lot of coaches. I can almost name any coach that has not done that to a player. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of coaches. I'm fortunate, like you. I've met a lot of people that not one time I've ever heard, oh, you know what I do a lot when a kid makes me mad? I run off the sideline full speed and knock his ass on the ground. That's one of my best coaching tactics.
Fear of violence.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What you know, no. 803-404-6100, 44-31, United States women over Nigeria. We're nearing halftime of this quarterfinal matchup. Again, 44-31 USA. Is Asia on the floor right now? Yes, she is. I'll get you a box score of how Asia is doing coming up in just a bit. Having some fun today as well. What movie not scarred you. I don't want to say it that way. But this came up organically last hour. We were talking about the Olympics, talking about fencing, and I made a joke about, like, you know, how one of the fencers could, like, pull out a little dagger and just give his opponent a little something extra when the ref wasn't looking, and made mention of that scene in Gladiator when that does indeed happen. And Elijah said, yeah, I probably shouldn't have seen Gladiator when I did because I was like, what were you, like 6 or 7, and did a little too much blood, a little too much violence for a youngster. And then I made mention when I was a kid, Jaws and The Exorcist. Then I saw Cujo when I was like 11. Again, a babysitter took me and a friend to see Cujo in the theater.
Bad call.
I wish I could remember her name.
But you remember watching Cujo in the theater.
I do. Yeah. I do. In fact, I even tell you what theater. It was the Bush River Theater, which I doubt even exists anymore.
There's no way. That sounds like a theater that doesn't exist anymore.
It was right next to a place before, like, Target became, you know, it was like Richway was the name of the store. And there was a theater over there on Bush River. That's where I saw it.
That's where you got scarred.
Yeah, well, again, you know, I've never had a St. Bernard, let's put it that way. But I do like dogs.
Fair.
I do like dogs. I don't like rabid bats.
That's a fair thing to not like.
Sure. Although the rabid bat, really, he's only in the movie for like 10 seconds.
But his influence lasts for the duration of the movie.
Poor Cujo.
He didn't ask for that.
Yeah, he didn't ask for that. He's just a good old dog.
That's why I can't watch that movie. Can't.
It's tough.
I know what it's about. I know the premise.
It's a tough watch, man.
I will never watch it.
It's a tough watch.
Even as an adult.
Tough book, too.
I am not watching or reading that.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely not subjecting myself to the effort it takes to read a book.
Yeah, I've done both.
About that.
I read the book later. That's the thing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I read the book much later.
Yeah, you went for seconds.
803-404-6100. Hit us up with that. We'll have some more of what we've gotten on the text line, get into the Harbaugh story as well. You're listening to the Postgame Show. 20 minutes after 4 o'clock on this Wednesday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Appreciate you being with us. Get into this Jim Harbaugh story in just a second for you. I was going to talk more about the Braves, and I decided not to. Maybe the Braves are like what I shouldn't be watching right now.
Regardless of age.
Yeah.
You could be a White Sox fan.
Just got to.
They have those.
Well, they finally won.
They did.
They won. So they didn't
pop those bottles.
They didn't break the record. What was the longest one? 20. I don't know. Like the last longest one was the Orioles, lost 21 in a row, which is what the Sox did, the White Sox. And like the all-time record was 20 something, like 29 maybe. I forget.
I can't remember.
I don't know.
I was really hoping they'd make it though. I've got nothing against the White Sox, but my thing is, if you're going to be bad and you're going to tank and it's going to be a bit, you got to really commit to this bit.
Just got to hit. Oh man, listen. D.E. Jeffcoat is his name here. Says middle school watched Faces of Death, not for the young.
Ooh, I've heard
Brother,
that. Yeah,
listen,
that's disturbing. I don't know if it's for much of anybody.
It's really not, man. And I'm not kidding, because it was like a buddy had it and brought it over on VHS. Definitely high school, early high school, probably. I'm telling you, 20-ish minutes in, I'm like, dude, nah. Like this, nah.
Can't do it.
This is not even, there's zero, like, I know that for some people, when you say like something like that for a movie, they're like, I gotta. Like, I'm just going to tell you, I wouldn't if I were you.
Yeah, like I've got a little bit of a morbid curiosity in me, but I've had this movie described to me, like some of the scenes described, and I said, you could not pay me to watch that.
It's like,
no.
I don't want to talk too much about it, to be perfectly honest with you, but like whoever made it, like brought together some real footage and made it into the fictional movie part of it all too. And dude, nah.
Yeah.
Like really.
That might be the worst one, I think, yeah.
Yeah, like really, really don't. Just really, really don't. So I'm sorry. Yeah,
Mr. Jeffcoat, I am very sorry.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
He tweeted at us. I would like for him to follow up. Are you okay? Are you fine?
Yeah, that's because that. Man. No.
It's a no from me, dog.
Hey, I remember that one.
I have not seen a second of it. Don't plan on it.
Yeah,
Never
I
will.
wouldn't. I really, 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 really wouldn't, man. Just saying, really wouldn't. And they get to each their own. What else we got?
We got a few good ones. And recently, in like the last couple of minutes, we've gotten a couple of nominations for The Patriot. One texter says, The Patriot was my first R-rated movie, probably about third grade. Loved watching Mel get some anger out with the hatchet. And another person, Chase texted and said, The Patriot might be a controversial one. Some of the scenes of the battlefield in particular might be questionable. And I actually responded on the text line and said, yeah, I remember as a teenager, which I'm probably old enough to watch it, right? As a teenager watching the cannonball scene, if you know, you know. And I wasn't prepared for that at all.
I hear you.
That was one of those where I kind of like sat up a little bit like,
yeah.
Whoa. I couldn't imagine watching that in the third grade.
No, the cannonball scene, of course, we weren't around for that, right? Like, oh, crap. Just the World War II movie, Spielberg coming off the beach. Oh, jeez. Why can't I not remember the name of the movie all of a sudden? Anyway, that was like a little too real as
too
well.
Much.
My buddy Hawk McElveen, shout out. He was in my wedding. We're lifelong friends. My buddy Hawk had a non-speaking role as like a valet in The Patriot.
Interesting.
Yeah, had the little powdered wig on and everything. And don't worry, we ragged on him. That's pretty cool, though.
That's cool. Yeah,
he lives down in Charleston now, and he, I forget, he'd have to tell the story. That one thing led to another, and they were looking for, like just some walk-on parts or something, and he's only in it for a second, but like it's like, hey, there's Hawk.
Every time you see it now.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. So, All right, we got a few more that are good.
We have
We got a lot,
ton.
yeah.
Yeah, like and if I don't get to yours, I am sorry because there are.
Now let's go.
tons.
Let's
yeah,
go.
But we got a lot.
Fun.
The original It is one of our texts. Had an older brother that shared a room with, and he controlled the TV. Scarred for life now.
Wait, which one? I'm sorry, I got
The original It.
Yeah. Tim Curry.
Yeah, Tim Curry. Actually, the Tim Curry clown, or the Pennywise, is scarier than the Skarsgård brother.
I haven't seen
Pennywise.
the new one, so I don't know.
I watched it. I think I was 11 or 12. The original one.
I've only seen Tim Curry.
It kind of scared me a little bit looking through a shower drain after that.
I am told that they're working on like what amounts to a Pennywise prequel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That actually is. Yeah, that actually is genuinely fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but and I don't know if that's something that Stephen King like wrote as well, or maybe just helped out with or something. I'm not sure. DE hits us back and says he survived. He said, "Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I know who you are, dude. He punted at Carolina in the night. Okay, yeah. All right. Now I know. Now
So he did. Yeah.
put
So
the
he
two and two
survived.
together.
He survived and got to play college football.
You sure? Well, either that or he just took it out on the football for the next however many years.
That poor football. Now you know how the hang time was so good.
That's right. All right, give me a few more.
All right, let's see. Let's go. One person said they saw Dirty Dancing at age 6. Probably looking for that one. A lot of birds. A lot of birds.
Well, I mean, okay, hold on. Now, so you shouldn't have seen Dirty Dancing at age 6. I guess there's some, like we said, there's a little grown-up content there, but not, I don't know. It's not like seeing Sound of Music, I guess, but.
No, actually, yeah. I would say it's not quite. No, a little different. My personal text line here, Justin Hall from who we'll be doing the high school football show with this year, said Smokey and the Bandit and the Exorcism of Emily Rose for different reasons.
Smokey and the Bandit is, I love Smokey and the Bandit. I don't know.
Never seen it.
I guess,
but I have seen
maybe
Exorcism of Emily Rose.
There's some language in that one, I suppose, that maybe if you're a little too young, you probably, mom and dad might get a little mad about.
Exorcism of Emily Rose, definitely a little disturbing.
I haven't seen that one.
I watched that one as a teenager. That one's probably, if I watch it now, I'm just not going to be impressed with it at all. But because I did watch that at a younger age.
Did Emily make it out all right, or?
You don't want to know.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it worse than?
I think everybody that's participating in this is having a better time.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, keep them coming. 803-404-6100. Jim Harbaugh may feel like he's in some kind of bad movie, but the NCAA has made it a little scarier. Not really, but we'll give you the details when the postgame show returns.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We're going to start with one on Sparkleberry Lane between Brassy Court and Grace's Way. Got another one on Longtown Road at Clemson Road. One on Long Green Parkway at Clemson Road. Got one on Leapart Road near US 378 and Sunset Boulevard. An accident on Coon Road at Broad River Road. And one on I-77 southbound just before US 21 near exit 24. And lastly, we have an accident that's just now reported here about the last 20 minutes or so on Blythewood Road at I-77.
Talking some football, talking what movie you might have seen as a youngster that you probably shouldn't have seen as a youngster.
Youngster.
Youngin. Kid. A Ute.
Not a Utah Ute.
No. Again, came up organically as we were discussing the Olympics, and one thing led to another. And without going back into the detail, Elijah mentioned that he had seen the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe, and a little too young of an age. And there's a lot of, there is some violence in there that maybe just a young kid doesn't need to see.
And if at any point, I keep naming these movies too, and you're like, wow, Elijah, you watched a lot of movies you probably shouldn't have at a young age. I'm like, buddy, my parents had bigger fish to fry at that age. This is near 2008, buddy. They had bigger fish to fry.
Like I said, yeah, for me.
I got to squeeze in a lot of horror movies at that age, man.
Jaws.
Ruthless.
I did see The Exorcist. I forget how or why I saw The Exorcist at around age like 9 or 10.
I will say, though, for old horror movies, that one still withstands the test of time in terms of just eeriness.
It does, because I think, and there's a John Carpenter movie called Prince of Darkness. And I like John Carpenter movies by and large. John Carpenter, I think like M. Night Shyamalan takes a lot from what John Carpenter did. He doesn't want to do sequels. And like John Carpenter didn't have anything to do with any of the like Halloween sequels or anything like that, right? But I think sometimes movies like The Exorcist or Prince of Darkness, the ones that have, like you mentioned, The Exorcist, what is it, of Emily?
Oh, The Exorcism of Emily
Exorcism
Rose.
of Emily Rose. The ones that have like the biblical angle to it as well, I think always seem to just have a little bit more something to it.
There's an extra eeriness.
Yeah. Relative to just like something that's like, I don't know, like Freddy Krueger movies. Basically by like the first one was okay, but like by the third one, it's just a comedy.
Yeah.
It's not.
They end up because you only have so many fresh ideas for those type of stories, right? Before you end up becoming a character.
Yeah, it's just they give him they give Robert Englund was the actor that played it, and they give him some one-liners, or like I remember seeing that again. It didn't bother me in any way, but I remember like a bunch of us in high school went to see the original Chucky Child's Play. Like that's that's not. It's just jump scares, and it's a little doll running around. That's not. I mean,
there is something really freaky.
Good news. You won't ever have to worry about a killer doll. So that's good.
You don't until you do.
Well,
Jay Phillips.
I haven't encountered one yet. But like, there's a scene in Prince of Darkness. And I don't think this gives too much away, but it's obviously they're like. These people are like fighting the devil, okay? And there's this like mirror thing, and like there's a scene where like the devil's arm is like reaching out of this, and I remember like that's messed up, man. Like that's like that, like yeah, like what if like I don't know, right? Like just there was something different about that relative to again some of the like Jason. Like I remember the second Jason movie, maybe the third one, and I won't get graphic, but like there's no way anybody comes back from that. the way they got rid of him in that movie. Like, you just, like, that's it. You're done.
It's like playing football against Tom Brady. You can only do so much,
Yeah,
man. Like, after 28-3, we get it, dude.
Yeah,
you're not out of any game. We get it.
Yeah, you're done. And yet somehow Jason survives. I'm like, no.
Can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, like you don't survive that. I'll tell you later which one I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it on the air because I don't want to. I think it was the third movie, maybe the fourth one. I don't know. But I'm like, come on, just what are we doing here? Like, this isn't, it's not scary anymore. It's just jump scares and gore, And
a way for them to make money around Halloween time.
But anyway, no, I like I said, for me, probably shouldn't have seen Jaws at an early age. Our buddy Brad Muller hit me with the same things. Brad said, I don't have the text in front of me anymore, but Brad said, I'll in the ocean, I only go like waist deep. He said, I'll go swimming in like the Caribbean because I can see. To which I think, Brad, like, I'm with you.
Fair.
Except for the fact that, like, if I'm in the Caribbean and like maybe there might be a great white shark down there, but like, if some mako shark comes at you at about 30 miles an hour, at least you can see it coming. Right. Just snorkeling along somewhere in the Bahamas or Caymans or something. Oh, what's that? Coming right at me. Oh, that's a shark. Well, this was fun.
Well, even then, here's the thing. Yeah, if I even if I can see, if that was my fear, even if I can see, I ain't out swimming that shark. I'm in their house, baby.
No, you're not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You're not. Like, if that's coming at you, you can see it coming at you. That's good.
It's good that you know it's coming.
Yeah, but that's it.
You're the road team, buddy.
I will say, snorkeling in the Caribbean is something people should probably go try to do if you can.
A whole lot of fun.
It's pretty cool. All right, give me a few more.
There's one text right here. This is a funny one. My aunt let me watch Nightmare on Elm Street at 5.
Oh, no. See, now, and again, the original one might get you a little bit.
Especially, like, if you're 5 years old.
Yeah. You don't need to be doing that.
5 years old, yeah. Like a movie about
this guy's aunt's like the babysitter that took me to Cujo.
It's the fun aunt.
Or something.
I mean, did your aunt know?
The fun, air quotes.
Did your aunt know the premise of Nightmare on Elm Street? Oh, man. We also have Gremlins is a nominee on here.
If you were a little kid, I can see that Gremlins, when they get wet, then it turns bad. And if you're a little kid, that might get you. You need to be ready for that, and you're probably not, because otherwise, look at these cute little gremlins, or these cute, whatever they were called.
They're not very cute. Deceptive.
Well, they were. They were until
further information.
Kind of like you said, they were until they weren't.
Yes.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. That's a pretty good movie, though.
I've not seen that one in a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, give me a couple more.
Been a while. Desmond also goes Nightmare on Elm Street. We also have one for Deliverance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, do we know how old this person was when? Okay.
Negative. Just a one-word text. Deliverance.
Yeah, man. Deliverance, again, hard watch.
Jacob says The Wizard of Oz, The Wicked Witch of the West gave me nightmares.
I don't like the flying monkeys. Not going to lie. As a little kid, the flying monkeys in Wizard of Oz and the Oompa Loompas in the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka. Do not like.
The Gene Wilder Willy Wonka, well, I did find a little unsettling as a child.
I do. It's not, again, you know what else that's not? That's not The Sound of Music.
No, definitely not. No. There are some musical bits in there, yes, that might make you be able to conflate the two.
Lots of singing, but
a little more sinister.
I don't, I don't, those Oompa Loompas I don't like, man. They just, and the flying monkeys. Yeah, not a fan. But I survived. And again, I don't think there's any parent going, oh, well, my kid can't watch that.
See?
You know?
But, like, and for some, it freaks them out. Some, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz never freaked me out. But, yeah, Willy Wonka, a little bit as a kid. A little bit. Some unsettling scenes.
Yeah.
Like when the girl turns into a blueberry.
Yeah, it's messed up. Or get stuck in the plumbing. Whatever, that's not really plumbing. It is plumbing. It is plumbing.
Yes. Yeah.
It is. It's not like, toilet plumbing, but it is plumbing.
Not traditional.
Yeah, it is plumbing. All right, keep them coming. We'll get to more throughout the afternoon. The NCAA, speaking of horror stories, this one's kind of over.
They're used to those.
Listen, I'm going to tell you all in advance. This is a whole lot of nothing. dare I say, unfortunately, but Jim Harbaugh today was given a 4-year show cause order by the NCAA. This goes back to the COVID-19 dead period, the cheeseburger incident. As Michigan fans like to say, it was just a cheeseburger. No, it was the recruiting during a dead period during a pandemic. And
if it was just a cheeseburger, it wouldn't be that good of a cheeseburger.
yeah, exactly. Well, to which again, and I think I said it to you the other day when we knew this was getting ready to come out. I said, well, if it had been a $70 ribeye at a high-end steakhouse, then the punishment it fits the crime.
Like, if I'm the owner of that establishment and you're brushing off this violation as just a cheeseburger, I'm a little offended. Right? I would never describe any burger from Whataburger as just a cheeseburger.
I love my cheeseburgers, says the owner of the restaurant. Like,
yeah.
we will put our cheeseburgers against anybody's cheeseburger.
This should be worth level 1 violation.
Amen.
Of the highest order.
The school had already been put on 3 years probation because they basically had reached an agreement with the NCAA that, yes, our coaching staff did violate these. Remember, Harbaugh says he never violated anything. He did not cooperate and maintains – listen – I think Jim just sees this. He knows he did it, right? I mean, he knows he did it because he bought him a cheeseburger, and he knows he wasn't supposed to. I just think, and he's not going to be alone here. This is no big deal. I didn't do anything bad. I didn't kill anybody to get this kid on campus. That's the way Jim thinks. Like, this is a dumb rule, and he's probably right. It is a dumb rule, but you still can't break the rule, and then you can't lie about breaking the rule, and that's why they popped you. Because you broke the rule and then you lied about it. And really, I think it's the lying, right? It's the cover-up to get you. It's not the crime.
Ask Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, or Richard Nixon.
It was just a cookout.
It's just a break-in at Democrat headquarters. I mean,
it was just some janitors.
If you just told
the lying gets you.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, Coach Pearl. That's the thing. Yeah, Bruce, I don't know where they are. Bruce, it's your house, bud. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was my house. Oh.
My bad.
Whoops.
Aaron Kraft, right?
It was. Snitch.
Yeah. Good player.
He was a very good college player.
Did they go to the Final Four, Ohio State, when he was there?
They did. Yeah. Jared Sullinger. When the year Jared Sullinger was there, they lost to Kansas.
More on this, more on our topic of the day as the postgame show rolls on. 11 minutes in front of 5 o'clock on this Wednesday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. 803-404-6100 to join us on the phone lines. Busy on the Firehouse Subs text line. Again, an organic topic just kind of emerged today towards the top of the show. And when we got to talking about movies that you probably shouldn't have seen as a youngster. You know, not necessarily that scarred you for life or...
Real life does a good enough job for all of us.
Yeah. I mean, and we've run the gamut from comedies. You know, we had somebody say what was the double Porky's and Poltergeist?
There's some alliteration here too. Porky's and Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our buddy John said Animal House. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the first, like, dare I say, inappropriate comedy that I saw, but maybe Stripes, but I don't know how inappropriate that is. A little, again, grown-up humor. We were talking about grown-up humor. There's a difference in, I'm not going to go too far, but when you're talking about movies, grown-up and adult, and y'all get it. Because one dude said... what was it? The Dustin Hoffman.
The Graduate.
Graduate.
Yeah. We did get one of those.
That's a grown-up movie.
Very much so. And then you're like our friend Chuck in Lexington who watched Candyman at 6 years old and now cannot say Candyman once in the mirror anymore.
I've never seen that. Now, that came out...
I never have either, but I know the premise.
I think I was older when that came out, right?
I think it's early 90s.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, I feel like I was in college or maybe right after college when that came out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I got to be honest with you, man. I've never, in terms of horror movies, I've never been a big horror movie fan anyway.
I love them.
I mean, again, like anybody, when you, again, as we talk about coming of age, like I said, I've seen, I saw, like original Halloween. Like I like John Carpenter movies. So original Halloween and a lot of John Carpenter I've seen. By the way, Big Trouble in Little China, just free shout out to one of the great John Carpenter films, in my opinion. But again, yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, saw those. Friday the 13th movies. Again, I forgot to tell you which one I was talking about and how they killed Jason in one of them. I'll have to tell you. Remind me to tell you later. Yeah. I don't want to say it on the air. I really don't.
I will. I will.
Because it gets quite graphic. But again, like you ain't coming back from that, bro. And yet somehow they made like 10,
he comes back.
Like 10 more movies. I'm like, come on.
Can't defeat him. Insurmountable.
Yeah. Again, like by the second or third Freddy Krueger, it's just a comedy. But I saw all those, and some others. But I will tell you, and again, this is. I mean, I probably shouldn't have seen it, and I was like 30 or whatever. The original Blair Witch Project, dude.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Dude.
It's freaky.
We were watching it so I could pause it. And there was like 2 times, my wife and I were watching it. I was like, I got to hit pause. I need to collect myself here. This movie is freaking me out.
First time I watched it, me and my brother. We're on vacation, just turned the lights out. I'm like 15, he's maybe 12. Obviously, because it was on demand.
So your brother fits the bill here.
He fits the bill. Yeah, that would be. I need to text him and ask him, like, hey, you remember that one time we watched?
Your sister's older than y'all? Is that right?
I have 2 sisters, one older and one younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 12 years old, Blair Witch Project. Probably not quite yet, man. That your brother qualifies. Let's get your brother on the horn.
Yeah, I need to text him and be like, hey, so how damaged were you by watching the Blair Witch Project on summer vacation in 2011?
Yeah, that one's again.
Yeah.
That movie, man. That'll get you. Like I said, Cujo. But I'm trying to think of like the comedy that I don't know why I feel like Stripes, Meatballs, but that's not really. There's not much.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like Bill Murray before Stripes. It's like I think he was still doing SNL. It was like right before. It was like his first movie before, or at least his first, like before he really popped, And there was Meatballs, Caddyshack, then Stripes, and then obviously then he just became a big star after that. But I don't know how old I was. Like again, mentioning Porky's or Animal House, I remember seeing those, but I can't remember that I shouldn't have. But I suppose that's how you process.
As someone who
certain
did
things.
watch Porky's at a all boys sleepover at age like 10, yeah, I can tell you, yeah, I probably shouldn't have been watching that at that age. And 10-year-old me would have confessed to such. Yeah, absolutely not. There wasn't an adult in sight, buddy. We ruled the place.
You think Jim Harbaugh's ever seen any of those kind of? You think Jim Harbaugh's ever seen a movie other than like, Remember the Titans,
If it was one he'd be too embarrassed about, he'd probably lie about
Hoosiers?
it.
That's all Jim's seen.
Deny
right?
it.
Rudy. That's about the best.
All the
he's-
uplifting ones. Miracle.
Yeah. All right. Headlines of the day. Big news for a Gamecock in the Olympics coming up.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you, they're causing some issues this afternoon. We'll go ahead and start with an accident on Blythewood Road at I-77, causing some mild traffic backup. We also have an accident Killian Road at Killian Arch, one on Leapart Road near US 378 and Sunset Boulevard, one on Long Green Parkway at Clemson Road, one on Longtown Road at Clemson Road, one on Sparkleberry Lane between Brassey Street and Grace's Way, and we also have some fallen power cables on Highway 6 near US 76 and Dutch Fork Road, so please be careful going through Highway 6 near Dutch Fork Road.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Wednesday. Welcome back in. Final hour of the postgame show as well. He's Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Let's get right into it and say big congratulations here locally to Quincy Hall. The former Gamecock track star has today won the gold medal in the 400-meter race. He becomes the first ever Gamecock male to win an Olympic gold medal in the men's 400, and he is the second male ever as a Gamecock alum to win a gold. Otis Harris did so in a 4x4 relay for Team USA back in 2004. Today, Quincy ran a 43.4 to win gold. He beat Britain's Matthew Hudson-Smith, who ran 43.44. Hall's time was recorded as the fifth fastest 400 ever. Congratulations to former South Carolina track star Quincy Hall. It's the first medal for the Gamecock men since Jason Richardson, by the way, got a silver medal back in London. And it is the seventh, according to the university, representing the seventh consecutive Olympics that a Gamecock track and field alum has brought home a medal, whether it be for Team USA or many of the international countries through the years that Coach Fry was able to help through their training. So terrific stuff. Again, congratulations, Quincy Hall, the fifth fastest time ever in this event. Ever. That's pretty darn cool, man.
That's history.
That is all right. So way to go, Quincy Hall. Good stuff. Speaking of the Olympics, Asia Wilson and the Team USA women are comfortably in front of Nigeria in the women's quarterfinal. It is 86-64, just over 3 minutes to play in the ball game. So it looks like America will be rolling along to the semifinals of the women's basketball tournament. Speaking of women's basketball, some big news today, but it's not official yet. But the Division I Board of Directors has introduced a proposal that will include financial units for the women's basketball tournament. It's something that has existed for the men for 33 years. If passed in January, then the payments would begin during the upcoming women's tournament. They wouldn't begin to be distributed until the following year. How this works is conferences are awarded units. It's a fixed amount per round for each game that their teams play in the men's tournament. And again, this would be the same thing for the women. The conference then splits the payout amongst schools and can divide it at its discretion. So some might say, all right, the teams that earned it get a little bit more and everybody else will share the rest. As Sabrina Merchant points out in this piece at The Athletic, for a mid-major conference, units can dramatically increase total revenue. Assuming that this goes through, the fund would begin at $15 million, then go to 20 and 25 in subsequent years. After that, according to this report, the funds would grow at the same rate as all other Division I revenue distribution funds, which is a growth rate of around 3% per year, which is pretty typical for a lot of things in this country. So that's good news. Again, it's not done yet. I can't possibly imagine, Elijah, that the full membership vote at their next meeting in January would say no to this, but nothing surprises me when it comes to the NCAA.
No.
But this is good.
This is more money.
Yes. And in this,
problem.
In this piece, it does mention, how it says, for example, and I'll just read verbatim, the SEC this year received $34 million from the men's basketball units, despite the conference having only one Final Four team. But the conference, which saw South Carolina win its second women's championship in 3 years, received no payout for the dominant success of the Gamecocks. And you might remember, this is a separate thing, but this, a few months back, the NCAA and ESPN reached a new agreement on the valuation of most other NCAA championships that ESPN and Disney televise. The women's tournament, even though it was included in the entire package, was valued at $65 million, which was, I think, a better than threefold increase from its last valuation. And a lot of people were upset that they didn't take it to market on its own. But in the end, that growth rate, I think, satisfied enough people. I'd have been curious to see how much more than $65 million it would have gotten. But I also don't think they wanted to lose ESPN in terms of how they promote it on a regular basis, and there's some built-ins there. And if these units do come about the way we think they will, it's still a positive step forward. But there were some who said, hey, it could have been valued at $100 million on its own, maybe more. And we'll never know because they didn't take it to the full market. So we'll see. But this is good news.
It's very good news.
It's good news.
It's really good news for South Carolina.
This keeps rolling. And the SEC. I
think it is.
I mean, I
think there's going to be a lot of pressure from a lot of conference commissioners to make sure that gets taken care of.
I'm not going to sit here and go, why haven't you already done this? But I will.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Yeah. Why haven't you?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I guess it's more like.
It's probably 10 years too late.
Yeah.
Better late than never, but.
And I realize that we've seen a real big increase of late. And I don't know what it'll look like without Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, in the next couple of years, Camila Cardoso. Yeah, you've got a whole new wave of stars like Malaysia Fulwiley and Tessa Johnson at Carolina. Paige Beckers is still doing her thing at UConn, and I could keep going. Juju Watkins out at Southern California. And I did point west, by the way, so that was good. I did point in the right direction.
I couldn't even fact check you on that.
No,
I left my compass at home.
No, that's west. I promise. That's why I was doing it that way, out west. That way. Juju Watkins. But anyway, good news. We'll keep you updated on that when it comes back around in January. The Giants and Lions, continuing our integrated media headlines of the day. That's the New York Football Giants and the Detroit Lions. Each were fined $200,000 for fights at their joint practice. NFL teams were, I love this, reminded in a memo last month that, quote, fighting and unprofessional conduct at joint practices would not be tolerated. The league is putting an increased emphasis on keeping these get-togethers clean this year. I have 2 letters for them. Not words, 2 letters. You want to guess what they are real quick? B and S.
What does that stand for?
They love this stuff. They love it.
Because guess what it gets people talking about?
Yes, the NFL. They love it, man.
Guess what's going to headline Sports Center?
$200,000? I mean, come on. $200,000. You want to make it count? Make it $2 million. And even then.
If you want them to really stop, yeah.
Stop it. Just stop it. The NFL, they are lighting cigars with $1,000 bills because of things like this. When this money rolls in, they love it. And what's the next one? Because there will be one.
Probably by the end of the week.
Yeah. I mean,
it happens every single year. Every single year.
Honestly,
what they can just do if they want to continue, with that type of press release, I think they just have a template, like a copy and paste template. They can just use every year. They probably have it saved in a Google Doc somewhere, where whenever this happens every single year, which it does, you can just refer to said Google Doc, copy, paste. Make sure you change the dates.
Yes.
And the natural stuff. But they have a template where they can just put out those statements year after year because it happens every year.
There's do you get fined when your own players fight each other in practice? No. Malik Neighbors, the former LSU star, quote, it was a heated practice. Words are being said and stuff like that is going to happen. Yeah, it is. They play tomorrow night, by the way. I'm going to, seriously, over under 1/2 on incidents in their preseason game.
Over under 1. Ooh. No, I think they'll be over it. It's a preseason.
Oh, yeah? So you think there'll be an incident tomorrow night during the game?
No, I think they'll be over it.
No. I mean, no, over under 1/2. Like, in other words,
I meant over the situation, not over on the prop bet.
So then you're taking the under.
Yeah, so many directional words. The English language is funny, man.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I'll go under on the incident.
On the incident. Okay.
Lack of intensity. It's a preseason game. There will be dozens of people there.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know if this is the right analogy to make because I just sit here and think on the fly, but this is like telling, professional wrestlers not to call each other names before they get in the ring. Right?
Because it's against their best interest to do so.
We're keeping this match clean.
WWE was founded upon sportsmanship.
No. We want to keep these things clean. If you want them to keep, you want to keep it clean, don't do it. It's just, but
Or
it's
levy some harsher
It's
fines.
so disingenuous. Yeah. They love it.
Definitely.
It'll be a secret rebate, back to these clubs at the end of the year. Like we talked to Langston a lot about, Mrs. Ford. And Mrs. Ford will be counting all her money, and it'll be like an extra check that came in for $200,000.
Oh, remember that fight you guys had with the New York
She'd be like,
Giants?
"What's this for?" And then William, her son, would be like, "Oh, Mama, that was extracurricular activity that we got fined for, but they said it was fine." Oh, good. Well, let's go patch the hole in the yacht.
That money's good for.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, there's that for you. The Atlanta Braves lost last night 10-0 to the Milwaukee Brewers. The Braves have been shut out in 2 straight after not having been shut out in Atlanta in 231 games. They have now been shut out in consecutive games. Brian Snitker said after the loss to the Marlins the other day, and I'm paraphrasing, we might need a couple of showers to get the stink of this one off. Well, what do you need after last night?
Ooh.
Just throw them in
an exorcism.
Throw them in the lake somewhere. What's that big lake outside of Atlanta? Just throw them in there.
The big lake outside of Atlanta.
That one.
Yeah. Officially. An exorcism, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, throw the bats in the showers. I don't know.
The exorcism of the Atlanta Braves.
As it stands right now, the Braves have lost 3 straight and yet are only 6.5 back of the Philadelphia Phillies in the East. But the Braves are no longer in first place in the wild card chase, a game back of the Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres.
It's more of a wild goose chase at this point than a wild card chase.
Braves and Brewers go at it again tonight, weather permitting. Chris Sale is scheduled to start.
He's won that battle more often than he hasn't this year.
13-3 with a 2.71. Freddie Peralta goes for Milwaukee. He is 6-6 with a 3.89. Be nice if the Braves won the game.
Yeah, Peralta, when he's on, man,
it's good.
Is really good. It's not getting much easier. And the Brewers are kind of running away with that.
And to close it out, we'll give you a final. United States 88, Nigeria 74 in the women's Olympic quarterfinal game. So America is moving on to the semis. That's our Integrated Media headlines of the day, brought to you by Integrated Media. 803-948-8327, whether it's the latest in home theater technology or even on rainy days, maybe right next door on Snapdragon Court and Chapin. Playing a little simulated golf at Pro Swing on 2 of their amazing Golf Zone simulators. You can do all of that. Call them up for more information. The number will work for almost any question you have. 803-948-8327. Integrated Media and Pro Swing. We'll come back. Our buddy Hale McGranahan joined us a little earlier. Get into a few thoughts from Gamecock camp when the postgame show returns. All right, welcome back in. 18 minutes after 5 o'clock on this Wednesday afternoon. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Get into some Gamecock football. Our buddy Hale McGranahan joined us a little bit earlier. He of the Big Spur. But we've also been having some fun today. Again, especially in the summer, these organic topics will come up. But what movie as a youngster, as a youth, as a kid, we're going like maybe pre-age 12, so like 12 and under. Did you see that in retrospect you probably shouldn't have? Not that it wrecked your life or got you in trouble. If it did, I feel bad for you, especially if you got in trouble. But, just something that maybe like, what, that's a little too intense. Like I said, for me, I think of 3. Although technically I saw a 4th one in going to see Jaws 2 when I was like 9. But Jaws, Exorcist, Cujo. Yeah, those are the ones that stand out.
That's the firm list.
Yeah, just probably shouldn't have, because there are some things, like I said, about Cujo that I still remember, and you just don't want to because again, Cujo is a good dog.
He was a good boy,
and
always is at heart,
and then he wasn't, and it wasn't, and it's not his fault.
It's not. No, that's the worst part. Which is why I will never watch that movie or read the book ever.
Yeah, I've done
ever.
Like you said, I went back for seconds because yes, later in life, I think in high school, I read Cujo. I like Stephen King books. Just finished one last month, but so those are mine. And Elijah, again, this came up because of Elijah saying that maybe Gladiator. What were you, like 6? You said
I would have been like 8 or 9, maybe.
Okay.
Definitely elementary
Just a
school.
little too much violence, a little too much blood for a kid. But a lot of you, we're trying to get to as many of these as we can, because when we ask you to do this, we want to reward all of you and we want to have fun with it. So let's get into a few more.
Yes. Speaking of Stephen King, Tim O'Neill says The Shining.
Yeah. And again, if y'all can, I should have asked, how old were you? That's one of the things. But again, if you're under 11, we're just going with that. But yeah, The Shining. R.I.P. Shelley Duvall, by the way. You saw that, right?
Recently. Yeah.
And she's even said that Kubrick messed her up in that movie, man.
Yeah. Oh, the stories behind how that movie was made. Still.
You ever read that?
I haven't.
You should.
My mom loved the book, The Shining.
There's a funny scene in Friends. Joey is reading The Shining, but he gets so scared he puts it in the freezer because he says, "Well, in the freezer it can't get me," or something like that. So he put the book in the freezer. The Shining is a good book.
He's not wrong. I mean,
yeah. And again, what I love, The Shining is really more about the kid than the dad, but Kubrick made it about the dad.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's a great film.
Which for me is probably a better story anyway.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
We got one. This is from KT from Lexington. The Gate was too much for me as a kid.
I haven't seen it.
I can't say I'm familiar.
Yeah. But it sounds like it's probably like a gate to some place that you don't need to be.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Outbreak?
Is that the one with Dustin Hoffman?
I think so. This
That's
is
the one about the virus, right? Yeah.
Andy from Richmond says Outbreak. I still don't like Little Monkeys.
Yeah, is that? Yeah, if that's, I have seen that. I think if that's the one with Dustin Hoffman, because he was in one of them. Yeah, and another Stephen King book that is like with a deadly virus is The Stand.
The Stand.
Yeah, they never made I think they made a mini series about it because the book is just too. You can't make a movie about it, like a 2.5. You'd have to go like a 4-hour movie. So they made a mini series instead. Very good.
Intriguing.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, sorry. We're not talking about books by Stephen King. We're talking about scary movies or...
We should not have been watching at a young age.
Okay,
young age.
Give me one more.
Moody says RoboCop when he runs over the bad guy who fell in the toxic waste and was melting.
How old were you when you saw that? That is a scene. Yes, I'll give you that. If you're a youngster, that might get you. That might get you.
Saw Red Dawn, and I stared out the windows all of the 5th grade waiting for the communist invasion.
Original Red Dawn.
It is really good.
Yeah,
I've seen the remake too.
Yeah, and I think I was in high school when that came out, and that's a good movie. That's a good movie, man. Unfortunately, I think the commies would have overtaken us, but way to go, those high school
They would
kids.
with that attitude, yeah.
That's right. All right, let's get into a little football for you. Hale McGranahan joined us just a little while ago, and we started off this Q&A just saying this time of year, no news is good news. So what's going on around Gamecock camp?
but yeah, with South Carolina, I think they're 5 days in after this morning's practice, and haven't heard anything as far as concerning that way. But we'll certainly keep our ears to the ground. But through the first few practices, some things I picked up were pretty encouraging about the offensive line and how much better they've gotten from last season, and maybe looking back at last season, it's probably not really anywhere to go but up based on some of those games they had. But a couple of the transfers who have come in, Torricelli Simpkins and Kamar Bell, I heard some good things about after the first few days. And I think that's what you kind of hope for when you bring in veteran players, whether they're offensive linemen, wide receivers, or whoever. If they're older, more advanced guys, you would think that they'd come in and be able to make a difference sooner than later. And it sounds like those guys are doing that. Over on the defensive side of the ball, they've certainly got a couple as well. And DeAndre Jules, the defensive tackle from Pittsburgh, and Kyle Kennard. Heard some good reviews of Jules and how things look for him the first few days. And I'm sure Kennard has been pretty steady as well. I mean, it's not just the guys who have transferred in, but really across the board. It's a really veteran group along the defensive line for Carolina, and that's a good thing. You can never be too old on the line of scrimmage.
Certainly, and one thing on this offense, too, outside of the offensive line, I think my biggest question mark, and it's not even Lenoris at quarterback or whoever ends up being the quarterback, even though I think we all know it's probably going to be Lenore Sellers, but who emerges as a number one receiver? Losing Xavier Leggett, that's a lot of production that walked out that door. And you have a lot of experience, kind of the same way you do at other positions, but who do you kind of have a feel just by being at practice these last few days and talking to people that really could emerge as a number one receiver or maybe a top target for this passing game?
Yeah, I do need to clarify, when we get to go out and watch practice, it's not for very long. We went the first 2 days, members of the media got together the first 2 days, and didn't really get to see a whole lot, so I can't really speak to what I've seen because, quite frankly, I haven't seen 11 guys on one side of the ball and 11 guys on the other side of the ball in actual football being played. But from based on what I've heard, what I've been told, sounds like Vandrevius Jacobs, Dre Jacobs is what they call him, Dre. He's off to a really nice start this first few days. So he transferred in from Florida State, the redshirt freshman. Sounds like he's doing some really nice things as well. Tyshawn Russell was someone who had a great spring, and we saw him in the spring game make some plays. And I think he just looks like a completely different guy. Last year when he was a freshman, he was a little thin and still growing, and this year he just looks the part, more like an SEC wide receiver, and apparently he's doing some good things as well. Whether it's one of those two guys or someone else who is the, number one target at receiver, anybody who's listening, your guess is as good as mine because it could be a number of different guys. I don't think if you ask folks within the program at South Carolina who they thought it would be, you probably get a lot of different answers just based on the number of people you ask because it's pretty wide open. But it's a talented group, I think. It's unproven, especially at South Carolina. But they got guys like Gage Larvadain, who's made a lot of plays at Miami of Ohio and Southeast Louisiana. So it's an intriguing bunch and certainly one that will probably have a bunch of different guys step forward throughout the season. I would guess it could be one of those things where one game it's maybe Gage Larvadain who leads the team in catches and yards, and the following week it could be somebody else. So I think it's truly a wide open type of deal.
Talking to Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur. Gamecock camp underway. ODU, the first opponent on August the 31st. Let me take you back to the defense. You were talking about a lot of the guys that have come in and the amount of bodies they have, especially up front. Relative to the offensive line, we've talked about this. You want a lot of guys that you can rotate in and out. Does it matter, in your opinion, or maybe even what you're gauging from the ball club, about who maybe the first line guys are relative to the guys behind them, relative to, say, Hale, wanting a top five on the offensive line? How much does being a starter right now, you think, matter up front on defense?
Well, it matters. I mean, guys do care about that. They want to be on the field for those first plays of the game. But there's something to that. But to me, it's really all about down the stretch and the most important times, whether it's like a third down in the middle of the third quarter when you're trying to get off the field and get your team the ball back to maybe go score a touchdown and take the lead. That to me is what means a little bit more. So I would think it's probably going to be a collection of guys at defensive end and defensive tackle. And, we've seen a few of the tackles over the years, and a lot, and Tonka Hemingway, Boogie Huntley, and TJ Sanders. Jules will be in the mix, Monkel Goodwine. They seem to be pleased with it.
Good stuff from Hale McGranahan there. The full interview with Hale is going to be up, already is up on 1075thegame.com.
It is currently up. That's right. It's available as we speak.
Drive around the SEC. We'll get into some bad news for Texas. We'll get into some sound from some Gamecock players, too. Be right back.
Quick word from our friends over at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss. Look, August is here. And August of last year was when Columbia Secret for Weight Loss first started helping out their clients here in the Midlands and helping them achieve their weight loss goal. And look, it doesn't really matter what your weight loss goal is. It could be a smaller one, like mine, and a goal just to get a lot healthier, as well as lose a certain amount of weight. Or if you have a larger weight loss goal, Paul Grant and Shaylin at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss do a fantastic job of coming up with a plan to fit your needs and be able to accelerate that process and get you to where you want to be, not just so you can lose weight, but you can sleep better, be happier, be healthier, and obtain some healthy habits that can help for a sustainable living. If this sounds good to you, learning the secret of losing up to 1 pound of unhealthy fat per day and starting your own success story, give them a call, 803-824-4210, 803-824-4210. Results may vary. From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. A few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start with an accident in Air Base Road at Old Hopkins Road. That one's recently been reported. We also have a disabled vehicle on I-20 eastbound just before Monticello Road, exit 68, as well as another issue on 20. This is an accident that was reported on 20 West over at South Carolina 277 and exit 73. We also have an accident on I-26 eastbound at US 21 and exit 129, and 2 more accidents that are still causing some issues on Killian Road at Killian Arch and on Longtown Road at Clemson Road.
Pretty much like pushing each other, obviously, like you said, but also making each other better. Like I said earlier this week, it's a healthy competition, or last week whenever I said that. Just he has college experience, taking that from him. I have knowledge of the system, he's taking that from me. So we just still got to go out there and do it and compete and just lift each other up when stuff goes bad and then just help each other out.
That is Gamecock quarterback Lenoris Sellers on what he and Robbie Ashford are doing to keep each other in check, if you will, here in August camp. Welcome back in. It is Drive Around the SEC time. Brought to you by Herndon Chevy. He's Elijah. I'm Jay. Look, it's pretty much a known thing, right? That Lenoris Sellers is Carolina's number 1. But how close is the competition? How close is the separation? I think those are very fair questions, and I don't think this is something. And I know we've talked about this in different ways. Listen, when Spencer Rattler came to Columbia, we pretty much know, right? Like, hey. I mean, I guess nothing's 100%, as you like to say, Elijah, because you're right. But 99.999999999% that Spencer was going to be the starter. Right?
It would have taken something very unfortunate to happen.
But in this case, I'm not going to put percentages on it. Again, it's Lenoris's job, and I think everybody knows that. But I'd be curious to hear what Dowell has to say in a couple of weeks. Publicly it might be a little bit different. What are the, what is it like behind the scenes, if you will, in terms of how close? Because Robbie is older and does have the experience. But as a lot of guys have pointed out, like J.D. Piquel and some others that we've talked to about, at the national level about Lenoris, I know J.D.'s done it a couple times on his show, in addition to some other guys at On3. Like, we had this guy in our top 10, and nobody's talking about him. At a lot of schools, when you get a top 10 quarterback, people are salivating all over the place. And it's almost like nobody's talking about Lenoris Sellers being a top 10 quarterback coming out of high school. It's kind of interesting.
It is. It also goes to show, I guess, like the array of variance between just like one recruiting website and another too. And this also kind of pays credence to, I forget the guy's name that was on Andy Staples' show, who compared him to like Anthony Richardson, which when Anthony Richardson was at Florida, there was a lot of feast or famine. You have the example of the Utah game where he ran all over them and they pulled off a pretty surprising upset in the opening week of the season. And then later on in the year, they lost to Vanderbilt on the road because he couldn't complete a pass. Right. So there's a lot about Anthony Richardson. You ask one person their opinion on Anthony Richardson, the next person you ask has the potential to be completely different. There is no actual consensus. And with Lenoris Sellers right now, because we just don't have a real sample size to like pull from, you might have a similar type of polarity, I guess, to the evaluation of him, because it's all, he looked really good in the snaps he played last year, but he threw 4 career passes. But the biggest sample size we have of him is playing high school football. But he didn't. You can do that all day long.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it is, and I guess that's where that polarization of Lenoris kind of comes from.
One more here. Of course, Mike Shula on the staff now for Carolina. Obviously, a college head coach, the lineage, a very good college football player. has a wealth of experience. Here's a brief cut from Lenoris on what he's taking from Coach Shula.
Just helps us with knowledge of the protection, putting us in the best situation possible with like feet work and going through the progressions, knowing when to run, how to run. Like the protecting ourselves things like really came from him, honestly, and just being smart with our read options and all that.
You know, again, for those who don't recall starting this season, this is the first season in college football where the analysts on staff, if you will, can now actually be on the field and coach. And yes, it's been one of the more maddening decisions, not allowing it. But again, this comes down to one of the things I've talked about, the haves and have-nots. Nick Saban started this ball when he didn't do this at LSU. But when he came back from the Dolphins, where you got a quality control coach at every position, and you got multiple people in the film rooms and such. Yeah, he's like, hey, we need to do this. And, Alabama and back then Mal Moore were like, all right, let's do it.
Let's hire a bunch of people.
Yeah, and you know what? It worked.
Would you say 6 national championships is working?
Pretty
good. I wouldn't say those are mixed results.
But now Carolina, and I mean everybody's doing it, and that's great. But they couldn't coach. They could watch film. They could analyze literally, and then report their feedback to the position coaches and the GAs, and that's who could coach. And and again, a lot of schools, I get it, can't afford to have 20 more support staffers. But finally, enough people said, "Listen, this is silly." And it was silly like 5 years ago, longer. But now they're able to. So it's good. And it's nice to have a wealth of experience being able to do that. Let's get into a few more things on the drive around the SEC. Some bad news for the Texas Longhorns today. Star running back C.J. Baxter is already done for the season. A knee injury yesterday that will require surgery. According to Dave Wilson, who covers Texas for ESPN, says an MRI revealed that CJ injured his lateral and posterior collateral ligaments. He was the number 30 overall player in the 2023 class, was expected to be a big part of what the Longhorns were going to do last year. And this is when you get compared to guys like this, you're doing all right. He was the first true freshman to start a season opener since Ricky Williams. But he got hurt last year and was just not able to have a really big year. Jonathan Brooks ended up being a big part of what they were going to do with 1,100-plus yards and 10 touchdowns. Then he had a knee injury. Baxter then started the next game and had a couple of big 100-yard performances, finished the season with just under 700 yards, but was expected to be a big part. Hate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate it for these kids.
I think he was en route to an all-SEC caliber season, as well as he ran the ball. But the thing about Texas is, Jaden Blue, presumed starter now, and Jaden Blue and the carries he got was incredibly efficient, and he's going to, I'm sure he'll probably put up some really good numbers as well. But that's a really tough loss for Texas because I really do think with a full season, he would have broken 1,000 yards.
All these dudes that you're talking about, even Jaden Blue, all had at least one 100-yard game for Texas last year. You mentioned Blue's numbers, 398 total yards and 3 touchdowns, including 121 against Texas Tech. He also can catch the ball. So
he's very versatile. They were going to use him a lot anyway.
Yep.
They're going to use him a lot more now.
That's the drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevy. Save $20,000 on new Silverados. Together, let's drive. Come back on the other side. We've still got a lot more to get to on the very fun and organic topic.
Oh, there's so many
of the day.
I'm glad we all have a shared experience of just watching things we were not supposed to as kids and it messing us up a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I'm glad we can share this as a community.
Well, we always knew there was something wrong with all of us. This is the Postgame Show. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. 12 minutes in front of 6 o'clock. A little less, bringing us back in here. Jay and Elijah with you. We've had some fun today with all of you. Thank you. We certainly appreciate when you interact with us the way you have today. For those of you just tuning in the last few minutes, we had an organic topic kind of bloom today in front of Elijah and me as we were talking about something with the Olympics at the beginning of the show, fencing, and I just mentioned in jest, as those things don't actually hurt anybody, that, and again, I wouldn't actually want this to happen, right? But like in pro wrestling, you get one of these fencers, like pull out a dagger while the ref's not looking, and you give the opponent a little
that might have been how they played it in the original Olympics.
Could
like
have.
The OG, pre-Olympic revival in the early 1900s.
But you just give the opponent a little something, and I likened it to the scene in near the end of Gladiator when the Emperor gives Maximus a little something. And, Maximus is like, he's very weak at that point because, he got a little something.
And he lost a whole lot of blood.
A lot of blood.
Yeah.
And then Elijah said, as a kid, I saw that movie and that scene and other things, and there are some violent scenes in that film. And you said, I probably, at that age, shouldn't have seen that film. To which I then responded, oh, there's a good topic. What shouldn't you have seen that you did?
We all have at least two.
And I said, for me, Jaws and The Exorcist and Cujo. I probably shouldn't have seen those as early as I did. And then we asked you guys, and you blew us up on the Firehouse Subs text line. So we're going to get to as many of these to close things out as we possibly can.
You guys have delivered. Yeah. This is one of my favorite ones today.
This may have to carry over, by the way. So
it just might.
Yeah.
It just might. Hey guys, Mark from Columbia here. I was a sheltered kid and remember crying at the fire scene in Bambi when he was 4. He went on to later clarify. So he's 4 when he cried at the fire scene in Bambi. Anyway, I was maybe 12 and at a cousin's house for a wedding, and they had on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I had nightmares about that for probably the next 3 years.
Yeah, I already mentioned my disdain for that film because those two old ladies at the kitchen table just really make me angry. Again, I don't have any.
We have a gnarly clip.
I don't have sympathy. Yeah, I don't have sympathy or empathy for Leatherface, but those two old ladies just really make me angry. They really do. I'm like, y'all, I don't like you.
Enablers.
They are, man. I don't
Enablers.
Like
See, my favorite ones are when you mention the movie and the things that you couldn't do for a while afterwards, the same way I couldn't look under the bed after watching Poltergeist at like age 10.
Yeah.
At school, mind you. But here's a good one. Unnamed texter says, I was 10 when I saw Psycho. Didn't close the shower curtain for 6 months.
Didn't close the shower curtain. You don't go down in the basement. You don't go to any roadside motels. There's a lot of things about that one.
We have one.
I'll never forget the first time I saw that. I'll forget how old I was. I was probably about 12. And I'll just say when that dude goes down to the basement, that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was coming.
Which is what makes the movie a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's quite the twist. We have one texter, Jaws at age 11, grew up in Myrtle Beach. Swimming at the beach was never the same again.
No, it still hadn't been. That's what Brad Mueller said. And listen, millions of Americans felt that way, and yet we're all compelled to watch Jaws every time it comes on.
Oh, this is a good one from LaDonna. She said, my mom let my daughter watch Chucky as she thought it was about just a doll. Daughter was 8 years old, and Grandma let her watch Chucky in all caps. Laughy face emoji. Traumatized. Yeah, I would say so. It was a little more than just a doll, though. The doll had a little more sinister intentions than you're just.
He did. I told you, I was in high school when I saw that.
John Gruden had a really wild side back in the day.
It's like saying the Texas Chainsaw Massacre just about lumberjacks. I guess the word.
It's just a small issue.
I guess the word massacre probably, whereas Child's Play just sounds like, oh, well, this is fun.
Oh, this is.
By the way, dude, with the Bambi fire scene, I'm with you, bro. That's a tough watch, man. It's a tough watch. Somebody hit us and said, Randy hit us. He said, I do recall a movie that this is on Twitter. I do recall a movie that terrified me as a kid that probably shouldn't have, and it's Disney's Fantasia. Yeah, there's, I don't know about terrify, how old you are, but there's some interesting stuff there.
I mean, yeah, there are some kids' movies, though, like the way certain scenes are portrayed are naturally a little more disturbing. Like, did you ever watch Or did your kids ever watch, Jay, the Pinocchio real life?
They might have. I haven't.
Pinocchio movie.
I know of it, but I never did.
It would have been made like in the late 90s. But there's the scene where the kid turns into the donkey, and in the live action movie remake, it is a little mortifying.
Yeah.
It is actually a little disturbing. And I think I watched that. I might have been 5, 6 years old, and it freaked me out. I was genuinely like anxious and uncomfortable watching that film afterwards.
Who's Geppetto in that movie?
I couldn't even tell you. Couldn't even tell you.
Yeah,
all I remember from that movie is that one scene and how awful it made me feel.
Yeah.
Mildly
David
scarred.
said, I saw Blade in Jurassic Park when I was 6. Does that count? Yeah, man.
Jurassic Park when you're 6 years old?
Yeah, if you're 6 when you saw that, yeah.
We have texter Nick who snuck in and saw Chucky as a kid.
Yeah.
A lot of sneaking into theaters here. I have noticed a theme here. A lot of you did a really good job of sneaking into movie theaters.
Tim Frisbee, Pops, says, I saw Car Wash in the theater in 1976. They let anybody in. There you go.
Just let anybody
Car
in.
Wash is funny.
Got some Hellraiser here. I've still never seen Hellraiser.
I did. I saw I did. See, there's another one. I just didn't like that. I can't really tell you why. I don't like being disturbed in a movie. I don't go to the movies to be disturbed. There's enough disturbance out there.
Which is,
you know what I'm saying?
I'll concede that point.
Yeah.
But there is nothing quite like watching a scary movie in theaters as an adult.
I can't think of the last. I don't know what the last horror movie I saw in the theater was. I'd have to think about that. Probably Misery.
Oh my God!
It's been a while.
Before my existence.
It's been a
Good
while.
Lord.
That was fun today, y'all. We appreciate you. Don't get scared. We'll do it again tomorrow.
I'm always scared.